Jim Henson's son let it slip. We've got a confirmation on the way. Hip, hip, hooray. The Muppets have been saved. It looks like all of those fancy animatronics and items from MuppetVision will not be collecting dust because Disney must be saving them for the future. Today, we'll tell you what Brian Henson said and why you might not have to be so sad after all. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel that continues to say that sort of thing. Gendered language, you betcha, even if the Disney parks refuse to do so. So we'll say it again. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, damas y caballeros, bienvenidos. Let's talk about the Muppets. Joining us, Vash and Jonas, who run this thing. I'm just a guest. Gentlemen, how are you?
Very well, I am today, indeed, sir.
All right, well, that out of the way, let's get started, folks. Click that like button. It's never been so important as it is today on YouTube to be engaged with the video, so click the like button. Here we go. Blog Mickey has this one. It says, latest look at Muppets Courtyard Demolition. Early work on Monsters Incorporated Door Vault Roller Coaster. And I'm only showing this to you because they're starting, but as we have said in the past, there's not much that's going to be done here. I mean, they're going to rip out a theater and they're going to put it right in behind. But the other stuff, the other stuff here is just basically going to stay the same. One of the stages is going to be gone completely. The Muppets are being removed for Monsters, but all the facades are going to be there. All the buildings except for one are going to be there, and this is going to continue to exist. Okay, but they had to get rid of the Muppets. They had to send them packing, just like the Muppet movie that Disney made. Somebody wants the theater. Okay, this time it's Mickey. But Jim Henson's son, Brian Henson, has let it slip that you might want to have some hope still. This is out of Theater Mania, and this went under the radar largely. Los Angeles is where this was being reported, where Henson was interviewed. It says, Brian Henson on Puppet Up, the future of MuppetVision 3D and restoring his Muppet Christmas Carol. Now, there's a lot in this article for you to be very interested in. I highly recommend that you go read it, but we're going to go on down to what matters to us, okay? You see all that? Here we go, here we go, here we go. It says, here's the interviewer. Speaking of, I'm going to ask you some other random Muppet questions now that I've been thinking about it. Brian says, son of Jim, I may not have the answers. I may have to go to the fan websites to get them. There was a Muppets musical concept presentation about a decade ago. Do you know why it didn't happen? He explains. Says, what do you know about the Electric Mayhem roller coaster that's being developed for the theme park? Brian says, you'd have to ask them. I don't know what they're telling people. Now, what that says to me is he doesn't know what he's allowed to say yet. So he's not going to say anything. Okay, cool. Then it says, is MuppetVision 3D gone from the theme park for good? Now, Brian is going to answer this, and pay close attention because there's something here that Brian doesn't know that we know that makes this very interesting. It says they wrapped it up in the way Disney does, where everything is recorded for historical purposes and all the animatronics are packed away perfectly. So theoretically, they could bring it back out if they wanted to at some point. From the get-go, they designed it so that 500 people could go through every 25 minutes. It was one of the most highly experienced attractions, I think, that Disney ever made. And I was very sad to see it getting wrapped up. Okay, now, here's what Brian doesn't know that we know, guys. Do you remember a couple of years ago when we reported on how the Splash Mountain animatronics were treated? I'm talking about, we heard sent through the baler, sent through the shredders, that people, you would be very disheartened to have fully heard what went on back there. And we've seen this now repeatedly where things that we think should be kept in the archives are not, and they're destroyed. And so Brian is assuming that everything gets treated that way. But I don't believe that's the case anymore. Brian is confirming what we reported maybe like a day or two, maybe even before MuppetVision closed, where we reported that they were taking great care in the way that they were handling this. And it led me to speculate that they might have plans now in the future, maybe with the Villains attraction that's on the other side of Hollywood Studios because of how poorly it's being received, actually dampening enthusiasm for the Villains land that they want to do at Magic Kingdom, that they might move the MuppetVision stuff down there. And the level of care that they are taking with this, I think gives some degree of hope. I still think it's less than 50%, but it's not 0%. And the reason for that, I'll go to Vash to start off with. Vash, they haven't taken care of stuff lately. They have destroyed it carelessly, recklessly even. And I'm not sure Brian knows just what's been going on. The fact that they packed away the animatronics and everything so carefully, that I don't think it's to go to a museum. I think it's for the intent that they might use it sometime down the road. What do you think?
Well, we did hear from Disney that they were looking into that with some serious consideration. We really don't know the extent by which they might reutilize these characters or these animatronics in this way. I would assume that if they were going to keep the animatronics functioning, they would have kept them in the MuppetVision theater. But regardless, I mean, the fact that they are preserving these is I would say, a good sign because, like you said, Pro, Disney just doesn't usually do this. I mean, look at what happened to the dinosaurs, actually, for the Universe of Energy attraction. Now, apparently, Imagineers did have conversations about reutilizing those, but they were subsequently destroyed. Look at what happened with the Splash Mountain animatronics. Those were subsequently destroyed. Some of them may be used for the refurbishment of the Country Bear Jamboree next door there, but it's hard to suss out whether or not that report is accurate and to what extent they actually went in order to preserve that attraction right there. But the reutilization of assets by the Walt Disney Company just hasn't been that great in recent years. It seems like these Imagineers are like, you know what, we have nobody left to maintain these things. We want to make our mark. Let's go ahead and just dump the past and go with something completely brand new and fresh. Unfortunately, that just seems to be the case over and over and over again with upcoming attractions. We haven't heard anything about the dinosaurs being reutilized in the dinosaur attraction over there in Animal Kingdom, but we have seen a lot of obliteration and demolition from WDI in the recent years.
Jonas, I'll go to you with one more point that I think really hammers this home. We have heard from sources that an issue of concern for Disney, allegedly, is that they cannot get enough of the items for the animatronics anymore. It's very difficult. The supply chain is kind of broken on it. A lot of that stuff is hard to come by. So for Disney to not break down these animatronics and get all the parts off of them is kind of a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice at a time that it would be much easier for them to just tear apart Statler and Waldorf, tear apart the penguins and say, you know what, we don't need them. Let's get the bolts, the screws, the transistors, everything we need. And Jonas, what do you think about the idea that this instead was treated with somewhat reverence?
Right, and just so everyone knows, we've been made aware of documentation that we can verify. Vash and Pro, you've both seen it as well, of high-level Imagineers who can't seem to find an undershirt for the life of them, saying that animatronic motors from Splash Mountain were used on the Country Bear Jamboree in order to...
I know nothing, Jonas. I know nothing. Why do you say I know? No, come on, Jonas. Don't implicate me in your dirty laundry.
Also, that we've heard from some sources that the sourcing from China is already difficult, and then on top of it, they of course are hypersensitive to any indications of tariffs or things like that. So yes, it is absolutely true that Disney is worried about being able to find the servos for animatronic motors and the parts that they use in animatronics. So yes, these being preserved. There you go
again, Jonas. There you go again, naming the actual part. I was being silly, and now Jonas says it's the servos they need.
Well, I was being general. I'm not a mechanical engineer, and I have not worked on an animatronic myself, except for the one time I accidentally knocked over a Chuck E. Cheese.
And that Billy Bob from I can't remember, Showbiz Pizza Place. It didn't go well. Five Nights at Freddy's.
That's why there's no more Showbiz Pizzas.
Exactly.
So just to say, yes, that is significant. For these to be preserved, that is very important. I don't think that these are so specialized that they can't be reused in some other purpose, because that's one of the things that I think Disney is actually capable of now, is finding something that exists, and especially it'll save them a buck to use that in another format, even if it is not the best use of that animatronic. So I think there's something to that.
I will say also too, to elaborate on Jonas's point right here, when it comes to like getting parts for these old school audio animatronics, usually Disney has to go through a third party now in order to refurbish audio animatronics, especially in the way that they were done maybe in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I've heard multiple Garner Holt production projects in which they, have to refurbish the Tiki Room or refurbish other areas in which Disney Imagineers are simply no longer capable of maintaining themselves because there simply isn't. There aren't the technicians there. There isn't the expertise at Imagineering right now in order to facilitate the maintenance and the upkeep on an ongoing basis here. So, that could be part of it as well. It's just like, look, if our Imagineers are specialized in a particular technology, then we really have to invest in that technology going forward, which also might explain anyway why they want to do away with the Muppets and some of their other audio animatronics based attractions.
There you go. Well, folks, it looks like Brian didn't realize that not everything Disney demos gets saved the way that he knows the Muppets are being treated. What a good thing, right? And by the way, I know some of you out there think, that the Pro Channel at least is negative towards Disney and Disney parks. I hope that they bring the Muppets back and put them down there in MuppetVision, where the Lightning McQueen Theater was, where now the villains are, and the villain show's just terrible. If they do that, I will cheerlead that move and say thank you to the Disney company for that and for preserving Jim Henson's legacy. That would be a wonderful thing. So please, Disney, listen, do it. Come on, do it. The folks out there say do it. It's not easy being green. All right, folks, it's not easy being seen on YouTube, but you can make it happen by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithm. It is the... Click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the... Good grief, bro.
Click it and stick it to the algorithm. I can't even do it now. Vash, you can. Click it and stick it to the algorithm.
Click it and stick it to the algorithm.
Bell. And whatever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and remember that it's the That Part Place channel. So stay tuned for all the news that should be fun.
Click it, stick it to the algorithms.
Jump into the water.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.